The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has been going through quite a turbulent period, with internal conflicts and controversies plaguing the party in recent months. One of the latest developments is the replacement of Senator Iyorchia, its national chairman, by the National Working Committee, NWC, of the party. The decision was made in response to the order of a Benue State High Court, which barred Ayu from continuing in his role as the chairman of the opposition party and parading himself as such. At an emergency meeting held on Tuesday, the NWC carefully considered the court order and resolved that the Deputy National Chairman North, Ambassador Umar Elia Damagun, should assume the national chairmanship of the party. Ayu's suspension follows a vote of no confidence passed on him by his ward executives in Boko local government area of Benue State, an action which Ayu had described as exercise in futility. In a similar vein, Governor Nyesom Wike, who has been advocating for Ayu's removal, responded to the court order by saying that the battle had just begun. These events highlight the ongoing struggles and conflicts within the PDP as the party navigates its way through the challenges and uncertainties of the political landscape. Now, joining us to discuss more on this, we have in the studio a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, Mohammed Jamu. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, viewers. My regards to you all.
And viewers, this is Daily Politics, and I'm Shapiro Suleiman. We'll go on a short break. When we return, the conversation begins. Stay with us. Welcome back. And just like I said earlier, we have Mohammed Jamu, who is a PDP chieftain, in the studio, joining us to discuss this latest development in the party. That is the stepping aside of the national chairman of the party, Senator Iyorchia. Mr. Mohammed Jamu, looking at the development and the sequence, if you like, of the crisis, right from the emergence of Senator Iyorchia as chairman of the party, the PDP, had found it extremely difficult to have peace within itself. There has been this uneasy calm right from his emergence, but it culminated into, his final decision to step aside. What do you make up with this decision now?
Malan Shafiu, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to discuss the issues as regards the People's Democratic Party at a period and time like this, after the elections, when a lot of things which we have said here and in several other places have carefully manifested into reality. When Mr. Iyorchia was elected as the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, there was celebration, because we had just gone out of another leadership of the party that had its own peculiar challenges. And something very similar, if you may recall, Mr. Secondus was removed too as the chairman of the People's Democratic Party via a vote of no confidence. Similar circumstances which had to warrant him leaving the office. So when Mr. Ayu came in, there was this euphoria of hope that something is about to give in so that there can be a complete national reconciliation within the People's Democratic Party, so that all members of the party will feel carried along and the party can begin its march towards wresting power and taking power once again. And at that time when he emerged, the People's Democratic Party had everything they needed to be able to wrestle power from the APC. They had a robust membership and a robust, strong followership. And a lot of people were disdained and disoriented with happenings within the country and were obviously looking for opportunities that can open so that a new vista of leadership can emerge in the country. So PDP had it all But then suddenly, gradually along the line, I think leadership inertia started to show and rear its ugly head. Mr. Iyorchia, instead of being an ambassador of reconciliation, he became an ambassador of division within the People's Democratic Party.
Okay, let's look at the issues very closely.
Yeah.
You know, after he emerged, then came this issue of zoning.
Yeah.
You know, I remember vividly, and he set up a committee, a 37-member committee, which was headed by the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom.
Yeah.
And you know, from there, the crisis started because the concern then was that the zoning arrangement will be retained.
Yeah.
And but suddenly, you know, with the setting up of this committee, there were apprehensions as to whether the party will keep, you know, to its promise of the zoning or jettison it.
Yeah.
And eventually, the zoning arrangement was jettisoned.
Yeah.
Okay, that's perhaps the beginning of the crisis, some would say. Those from the southern part of the country felt, you know, somehow marginalized, or felt that they're going to be on the edge looking at the composition or the people that are agitating or contesting this particular position.
Yeah.
How does that affect, you know, the little, if you like, or relative calm in the party after the departure of the former chairman, which is Secondus?
Well, actually, let me tell you that the crisis that manifested after the emergence of Mr. Ayu are multifaceted crisis. We have the issue of zoning, and even within the party itself, there were other issues where all the zones in Nigeria have had their zonal congress. The only zone that was remaining was the Northwest zone, who had not been able to successfully elect their own zonal leadership, which the actions that happened within that perspective to part of what has affected the party at the long run. But let's look at it. When you look at the issue of zoning, a committee was set up, and this committee had meetings in Enugu and in several other places. And the whole essence of that committee was to come up with a formula that will give everybody that sense of belonging. But at the end of the day, the issue of zoning was jettisoned. So I will say to several, I should say to a certain extent, that the issue of zoning, when it was jettisoned, virtually all members of the party across the Niger agreed that, okay, let's go all out there and have a fair contest. And whoever emerges, let's work. And if you may recall, several people from all across Nigeria contested in that keenly contest of who will emerge as the presidential flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party. And even after the emergence, I will say that is where the real problem started.
Yes, looking at the trajectory, you know, it was shortly after when the contest was left open. Just like you said, you know, the likes of Nyesom Wike and others contested alongside Atiku Abubakar. But that particular fear of perhaps domination or so manifested actually, because in the long run, Atiku Abubakar was able to galvanize support across, you know, especially this part of the country. The role played by the Sokoto State Governor, Ali Waziri Tambuwal, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, sorry, was said to have nailed the coffin somehow, and then Atiku emerged. Shortly after the emergence of Atiku, it was visible that Wike was angry, you know, and then he knew what would certainly happen in the end, and perhaps even before the conclusion of the exercise, he left, you know, and all of that. So that's another part of it. He felt aggrieved, he left, and then, you know, was looking from the sideline or trying to also galvanize his own support within the party. And that led to the emergence of the G5. You know. So, but then before we get to that, let's look at the role some of these people played. Some would say politics is just about interest, not necessarily, about principles. Because if, for instance, Governor Samuel Otom, who happens to be the chairman of that panel, the 37-man panel, was on the other side after the decision to throw the contest open. Some will find it extremely difficult to understand where he actually belongs in the first place. I don't know if you see that as, double speak or double standard, or taking, you know, Is it part of it?
Okay, let me tell you, because I happen to have been fully a participant in everything that happened thereafter. Let me tell you, and let me clear a particular notion. After Alhaji Atiku Abubakar emerged as the presidential flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Nyesom Wike accepted the fact that Atiku Abubakar has gotten it.
That's right.
But one or two things happened thereafter. And I will let you know how all these things happened. Because I led the 44 delegates from Kano. And I can remember we supported Nyesom Wike. So everybody got votes.
Your votes were for Wike?
Yeah, our votes from Kano were from Nyesom Wike.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, they are for Nyesom
Wike. The initial impression is that there was a gang up, sort of, from the north against Wike.
Yeah, that gang up existed, but unfortunately we, the members of the People's Democratic Party from Kano, we viewed it from another perspective. And maybe if I can just break down a little part of it.
And let the cat out of the bag.
Let me get the cat out of the bag.
Okay.
You know, what affected the chances of the People's Democratic Party to wrestle power from the APC was mismanaging how some of the leaders of the party left.
Okay.
PDP should have done everything humanly possible to have kept Mr. Peter Obi in the party, and PDP should have done everything humanly possible to keep Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso in the party.
But what was the possibility? Looking at these two gentlemen, they were out for contest.
Let me tell you,
they will accept nothing other than emerging as candidates.
Let me tell you the story. The national leadership of the People's Democratic Party zoned the office of the national vice chairman, who will represent the Northwest, who also doubles as the chairman, the zonal chairman of the party for Northwest. It was zoned to Kano State. And then the People's Democratic Party in Kano sat down, had a robust discussion, and they decided I, myself, Muhammad Jamu, should fly the flag and lead the party and be the national vice chairman of the party. At that time, the issue of the presidential contest was on the front banner. And then along the line, individuals like Aminu Waziri Tambuwal felt a little bit threatened that if Mr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso will be the beneficiary of the zonal chairman, maybe...
I remember the disagreement that happened. Was it in Kano?
In Kaduna.
In Kaduna, right?
Yeah. That will give Engineer Dr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso some certain advantages ahead of him. And then Aminu Waziri Tambuwal went to work. And then he was able to get people like Mr. Sule Lamido and others to join him. And every effort for Mr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso to get the leadership of the party in the Northwest was being battled by Aminu Waziri Tambuwal and Alhaji Sule Lamido. Mr. Kwankwaso fought very hard. When he couldn't get it, he gave the party an option. It's either he's allowed to produce the zonal chairman, if not, then zonal vice chairman, if not, he will leave the party. But at that time, Sule Lamido and Co were talking with Alhaji Ibrahim Shekaro, and they felt if Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso
they have an option.
They have an option. If Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso will leave, Alhaji Senator Ibrahim Shekaro is there on the sideline. They can be able to get Malam Ibrahim Shekaro to come to their side, and whatever Kwankwaso feels he can be able to achieve in Kano, Alhaji Ibrahim Shekaro can even do more. So that was the thinking at that time. I remember vividly, I became an ambassador in trying to solve those problems. I went to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. I discussed this issue with him. I told him, look, in a fair contest, you will emerge the presidential flag bearer, but you need Alhaji Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso in this party. If I am the issue why these people are fighting over me emerging as the national vice chairman of the party, I will willingly step aside.
But all
you have to do is make sure that you hold on to Engineer Dr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso and give him the benefit so that his own side will nominate whoever will fill that position.
So if I understand your position, the reason behind the defection of Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso was not actually for him to contest the presidency.
It was not.
But because he was aggrieved, he was not allowed to produce.
He was not allowed the zonal vice chairman.
North.
Yes.
And you also, as a contending party, you have your ass to grind.
Yes.
With perhaps perhaps with the new national chairman then,
yes,
Senator Iyorchia.
Yeah.
Some will say, I mean, what was your grievance? Because certainly you are also aggrieved.
Yeah.
And talking about Ayu now, we look at it from another perspective.
Yeah.
Some felt Ayu was a stabilizing factor somehow.
Yeah.
You know, to some extent.
Yeah.
What was your grievances with Ayu?
Okay, I went to Senator Ayu that time, and I had a meeting with him. Ambassador Ila Damagun was at that meeting. Mr. Taufik Arapaja, who's the Deputy National Chairman South, was at that meeting. And Batura Umar, who's the National Organizing Secretary, was part of the meeting. And then I. The same proposal I had for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar was the proposal that I took to him. And I said, look, what we have to do is keep Konkoso in this party. He shouldn't leave. But Mr. Ayu, in his own wisdom at that time, felt that to him, maybe Engineer Rabi Musa Konkoso was a little bit too arrogant for him, because he cited the fact that when he emerged as the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Konkoso did not come to congratulate him. But then I reminded him, I said, but you're not getting it right, Mr. Chairman. When you were nominated and voted at the Eagle Square, Alhaji Konkoso came with his delegates all the way from Kano and voted for you. Did you call Konkoso to thank him for that offer? And even to find out if the journey back to Kano was successful, all the delegates arrived safely.
So it's a matter of, I mean, should I say ego now?
Yeah, it's a matter of ego. So let me finish. So then at that time, we battled it out. At the end of the day, I said, okay, he asked me, what do I think is the best way out? I said, the best way out is you are the national chairman. You can visit Konkoso in the house and discuss with him. He said, no, he will not. I said, then you can summon him as the national chairman. He agreed he will summon him as the national chairman of the party to come over to his office. But what made me angry was I was given a message by him to Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Konkoso to tell Konkoso that they are coming to have this, they are calling him anytime, any moment from that time to have a robust discussion on how to move the party forward. But when I stepped out of that office, he said he will never go. That Konkoso is his junior. When he was Senate President, Konkoso was just a mere deputy speaker. So
yeah, we'll come to a similar scenario because part of the reasons, just yesterday or so, Governor Wike also made reference to a statement earlier made by the national chairman, where he said he called them these children or so, that while he was in the trenches, during the first, I mean at the peak of his politicking, where were they? And then Wike was making reference to that and saying that, okay, these children you see are going to give you sleepless nights. And they're beginning to do it. He said, this is just the beginning of the battle. So if I understand what you're saying, perhaps it's a matter of individual, should I say, character or individual perception or disposition. Perhaps he has such character of looking at issues based on hierarchy or based on seniority and all of that.
He is just not the right man to be the chairman of the People's Democratic Party at this particular time. Because if he was the right man, when the issue of zoning came up and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar emerged as the presidential candidate of the PDP, and then going by his words where he made mention that once a candidate from the northern part of the country emerged, he is going to step aside for somebody from the southern part of the country to be the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party. That is where he missed the major point.
There was a caveat, and many also agree that you don't change leadership of a party at that very crucial moment when you are going into election. It will not go well for the party. That's one. And then there was also a caveat as to, okay, if Atiku Abubakar emerges president, Iyorchia is going to step aside. That was the commitment he made. Isn't that enough concession?
So let's go with your caveat now. Now that Mr. Iyorchia Ayu refused to step down because election was ongoing, how did it affect the fortune of the party?
We'll look at all of that too. But then we're coming from the sequence, looking at what transpired. After the emergence of Atiku Abubakar, then this issue of running mate also came up. And against all odds, or against the suggestions, if you like, or recommendations, Atiku Abubakar decided to go with Governor Ifeanyi Okowa instead of Nyesom Wike.
Yeah.
Even though Wike too, to some extent, was not helping matters, some would say. He didn't show interest in it. He felt that perhaps it is too, he's too big for the running mate or so. So all of that culminated into the disagreement after the emergence of Okowa. And again, consistently, the other side of the divide, talking about the Wike camp, continue to fight until this moment we speak. Now, looking at all of that, the grandstanding, the push-pull kind of situation and what have you, and then here we are with the party on the edge, having lost the presidential election. Do you see, do you regret that?
Well, as a party man, of course, when your party loses an opportunity to grab or take power, whatever language you use in taking power, of course, no sane party person will be happy. But when you look at the trajectory of all the things that happened, then you know, of course, we all saw this coming. At the end of the day, we woke up and found out that virtually almost every party member at one point or the other was involved in anti-party activities. At every facet of this happening. Some participated during the presidential election, some did it during the gubernatorial election, some did it during the presidential and gubernatorial election.
Why should it be so,
because
looking at the provisions of the party?
Because people have cried out for the wrongs to be righted, and they found no listening ear that will even give them an opportunity just to be heard, even if there will not be a solution, but just an opportunity for them to be heard. They were not given that opportunity. So at the end of the day, people were left with options of helping themselves. And a lot of the party men helped themselves.
And the party went in disarray.
So this is where we are today. Now this is where we are today. Today, Mr. Iyorchia, by the orders of the court, has to vacate the office, and Alhaji Ambassador Damagun has taken over. And I wish Mr. Damagun will take the bull by the horn now.
Well, even though his emergence too had a lot of contention too, looking at the fact that we're still talking about the North now. The initial agreement, or the initial thinking was that the leadership of the party would now go to the South. But I understand, looking at the constitutional provision of the party, that is section 55 or so, 45 thereabout. It is difficult for anyone from the South among the national, the NWC to emerge as acting. So certainly it has to be the Zonal Vice President North. Well, even though that is also in an acting capacity, and perhaps maybe pending the determination of the whole legal issue. But then let's go back and look at, how all of these things, affected the party. You talk about the defection of your principal, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. The principal, the departure of Peter Obi. Going into the Labour Party. And then the, should I say, because it's open, the anti-party that the G5 perhaps also engage in. Wike didn't hide his own feeling. He was seen visibly mocking even the presidential candidate and the PDP leadership when they went to the ICC to protest. The results of the presidential election. Saying that they are now beginning to see the manifestations of what they have been telling them. So he has no remorse that the party has lost. So with all of this, now the party is in disarray. You can say that very clearly. And at the moment, the party is also in court to challenge these results. What will happen, with this all these divisions within the party? How can the party, forge a common ground, a formidable front to pursue this, if it is something that the party would want to pursue?
Okay, let me tell you the solution to all these things happening within the party now. Even if Mr. Iyorchia has not been removed on moral ground for leading the party to where it is today, Mr. Iyorchia should have stepped aside. But since he didn't step aside, it has to come to this option where his own party members at his ward level are accusing him of anti-party activity and even not leading from the front during the gubernatorial election. He didn't come to vote, These are part of allegations against him. Now that Alhaji Ambassador Ilia Damagun has emerged, now in the People's Democratic Party, nobody is talking about North or South now. We're talking of a party that is in search of its soul. And the best option...
Struggling to survive.
Struggling to survive.
Perhaps the aftermath of all of this will determine whether the party will continue to survive or go under.
So Ambassador Damagun, even in acting capacity, what he needs to do is to lead a delegation of the National Working Committee to move around and meet all party members that are aggrieved, no matter from what side of the divide they are. And on behalf of the party, tender an unreserved apologies to them for all that has happened during the electioneering processes.
But isn't that an afterthought, because the damage has been done?
Well, you need to correct the damage. You need to put the party on a pedestal where it can be a formidable party once again. Once you go to war, you lose the war, you can keep the battle going on. How do you keep the battle? Bring everybody back together. I see no reason why today, if Ambassador Damagun and his team will go and meet the G5 governors and apologize for all the mishappenings that took place during the reign of Mr. Ayu. I don't see any reason why they will not accept that and be ready and willing to come back to the full fold of the party. Because at this time, we should take it from the perspective, no victor, no vanquish. So what we need to do as a party is to bring everybody back together.
Yeah, but Ayu just step aside, he hasn't left, his position as national chairman of the party. Let's look at the concessions also on the other side of the divide. Because some, when at the peak of the crisis, when there was so much intense pressure, against Ayu, and then the calls for his resignation, stepping aside rather, there was a concession. The camp of Ayu would have to make some sacrifice. The chairman of the board of trustee, Senator Walid Jibril, had to step aside and allow Lopez Wabara, the former Senate president, to emerge. Some say that was a concession that ought to have been taken in good faith and then move on together, instead of the grandstanding that actually took place.
The BOT in every political party, let's say even in the People's Democratic Party, because now when you look at all the political parties, virtually it's almost only PDP that even has a working BOT. The APC does not even have a BOT. I don't know of Labour Party, I don't know of NNPP if they have BOTs. So the PDP that has the BOT, what's the BOT? BOT is nothing but just a mere advisory committee of elders. They have no role, they have no binding authority, nothing of the BOT is binding. The only thing that is binding is the leadership of the party. So at that time, when those issues were happening, offering the BOT to the Wiki group, which I happen to belong, was nothing but just a very big joke. And I have to salute Mr. Walid Jibril, Senator Walid Jibril. He's a hero, he's a distinguished gentleman. He offered himself so that he can save the soul of the party. But it was too late and it was too small to be given. We're having an issue whereby we have from the APC, even whether APC or from whatever party, President Muhammadu Buhari has ruled Nigeria for 7+ years. And now another election has come. Of course, being you a Nigerian and what we are, of course the people from the southern part of the country will be thinking that this is their own turn to have it. It doesn't matter which political party produces the president, but it's a general thinking that if the North can have it, then the South too shall have it this rotation. So at that time, I even saw the magnanimity of members of the G5 by saying, okay, the North, you have taken the president under the PDP, no problem, you can have it. But at least give us the national chairman of the party, at least something that we can go back to our people and say we have the national chairman of the party. Because the national chairman is the seal of the authority of that party. The national chairman's action are the only actions that are binding on every member of the party.
But beyond that, the vice presidential slot was also considered to the South. The fact that Ifeanyi Okowa emerged as a running mate to Atiku, and here we are with the Adolphus Wabura as the BOT. And some say it was sort of balancing, but you said that is coming too little and too slow. Yeah. All right. So I think it's about time we take a break. When we return, we'll look at the implication of all of this on the party's survival, and of course, what can be done to salvage the situation. In case you're just joining us, the program is Daily Politics, and we're looking at the stepping aside of the national chairman of the PDP, talking about Senator Iyorchia and matters arising. And we have been interfacing with a chieftain of the PDP, Mohammed Jamu. Together we'll be looking at the issues very closely. We will take a break. When we return, the conversation continues. Thank you very much for staying with us on Daily Politics. Today, just like I said earlier, we're looking at the stepping aside of the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Iyorchia, and the matters arising. And we have in the studio Mohammed Jamu. Mohammed Jamu, we are back. And you were earlier talking about, the nitty-gritty of this crisis, a protracted crisis, so to speak, that has left the PDP on the edge. Now, virtually there were casualties from both sides, some will say. Yes, the PDP has lost the presidential election. Again, some of those who have also fought against the PDP presidential candidate have also lost. The likes of Samuel Otom of Benue State, and I think some others have also lost their bid to go to the Senate. So there are casualties on all sides. Except for Wike, perhaps he didn't contest for any, but then he said that the battle has just begun. Now that he doesn't have, anything to do. But at the point he is ready for the battle, Iyorchia has agreed, has also respected the court order restraining him from parading himself. How would you? How do you look at this resolution, if you like, or concession, or the respect, if you like, of that court order by the current chairman of the party, who felt, yes, I have to step aside until this issue is determined? Shouldn't he have some applause? Well,
when the leadership of the ward of Mr. Ayu first took the decision to suspend him from the party, he openly came out and issued a statement and said the ward, neither the local government, do not have the power to suspend him.
That's by virtue of Article 74, 77, subsection 7 of the Constitution.
Being a member of the neck of the PDP. But don't forget, the party constitution was amended 2017, and since after the amendment of that party, Mr. Secondus' case came up where he was suspended by the ward and affirmed by the local government. And then when the matter was taken to the court, the court interpreted that section and said that section is a misnomer because you cannot be a judge in your own case. Who is the chairman of the neck of the party that will suspend the chairman of the party? The chairman of the party chairs the neck. So you cannot be a judge in your own case, and by the mere fact that you cannot be a judge in your own case, that affirms what the ward executive did in River State that got Mr. Secondus suspended from the party.
But in the case of Benue, for instance, there are also issues. About 16 members of that ESCO in Iyorchia's ward also came out to disown, if you like, that decision. In fact, they said the signatures were forged, names were not even spelled correctly. In the alternative, they also pass a vote of confidence on the chairman. So who is actually engineering, if you like, this world's executive to take such a decision?
So the matter is already subjudiced since it is in court. And since the matter is in court now, I think we should have to leave the court to, at the end of the day, decide who is right, who is wrong, and whether he is rightfully suspended or wrongly suspended. And if he is wrongly suspended, then he will come back to office as the chairman of the party. But even if he comes back as the chairman of the party, still that does not solve the problem that the party is being faced with. Because still there is a moral responsibility on him that at this juncture, with all that has transpired and happened under his leadership of the party, whereby the party had the biggest opportunity to wrestle power. Just imagine he has managed Peter Obi. Just imagine he has managed Mr. Konkoso. Just imagine he has managed Wike. Where will the presidential election result be today? Just add half the votes Peter Obi got, add half the votes Konkoso got, and then add half the votes the G5 governors could have contributed and put it up. Where will the election be today?
You know, there is already, even though it was not established, insinuations that these three camps that you're talking about actually worked for the APC. So sort of, I don't know. But even looking at the performances, you know, of the party at the state level, take for instance Kano State. Substantially, you know, the PDP would have gotten more votes than what it got from Kano. And Sokoto, look at Sokoto again, and perhaps other places. Was it a kind of arrangement sort of to make sure that Atiku Abubakar did not emerge?
It was not about Atiku Abubakar. It's about the party mismanaging the right people that will have added value to the party. When in Kano, we kept advising them that keep Konkoso in the party. They didn't listen to us that time. And they left Konkoso, and he left.
Is it correct to say you also play anti-party politics?
Well, I am not here to talk about what I did. But all I can be able to tell you is to tell you that we supported this party from the beginning up to the end. And if given another opportunity, I will still support the party. But the party should have listened to the voice of reasons when we were telling them. During the presidential election, just look at it. The party managed 8.9% of the votes from Kano State. And during the gubernatorial election, the party just managed 15,000 votes. 15,000 votes. It has never happened in the history of the People's Democratic Party. How we wish they have listened to us.
Okay, looking at the position right now and the decisions that are being taken, and the manifestations, if you like, of the whole crisis. What impact would it make now that the party's national chairman has stepped aside? At the same time, we're talking about a number of, those that have been battling him also losing grounds, at some point. Of what significance is this last-minute resolutions?
Well, the last-minute resolutions that I'm just telling you is just compounding the problems of the party. And unfortunately, if the right things are not done at this particular juncture, we will just continue going deep down, neck deep into more crisis within the People's Democratic Party.
What are the right things? Because if it is about the chairman, he has finally stepped aside. So what are the right things? And then
reconciliation,
at the same time,
honest reconciliation.
And the presidential candidate of the party, who has also been embattled, by the same forces and strange forces, has lost the election. So, looking at the current situation, where is the party?
Well, Atiku is coming. We're in court. So I said Atiku is coming through the courts. He can come. Nobody knows. It's like a pregnant woman. It's a pregnant woman, if not for the scan that was innovated in recent era. Before, you don't know what's in the baby. So same applies to what is in the court. So Atiku is coming, and since we're in court, what needs to be done now is a honest and true reflection.
Some would tell you also Obi is coming. And these are forces.
Well, those are members of the Labour Party. Members of the Labour Party can tell you who they feel is coming. But as PDP, I will tell you Atiku is coming.
Okay. So you're hopeful that in the end, the PDP would rise up again?
Yeah, the People's Democratic Party will rise up again if the right thing is done at this particular time. And I keep saying it. that either with the cut, through the cut, or without the cut, Mr. Ayu's time has come to an end. He needs to voluntarily say thank you to the People's Democratic Party membership for the opportunity to serve, but he has performed woefully. And with this dismal performance, he needs to step aside completely and allow people who have the party at hand. And I don't mind if Ambassador Iliya Damagun is going to be that person who will lead the party through a true national reconciliation.
But
I feel it can work.
Is it just about Iyorchia Ayu? Because some of you are at the trenches now, at the state level, the subnationals, you are there, but yet the party is losing ground. Take, for instance, the Southeast. It used to be a stronghold, if you like, of the PDP, but it's been taken over by the Labour Party. Back here in the North, the PDP, in Kano, it used to be also a stronghold, Katsina and so on. But it is obviously taken over by the APC. So, with all of this, and you still felt that the reconciliations, if initiated, could change the narrative?
It's a 4-year program. It's a 4-year program where we have to sit down, plan for what will happen in the next 4 years.
Or 8 years, perhaps.
No, we can talk about 4 years because election will happen again in the next 4 years. So what needs to be done in the instance now is to reconcile all aggrieved members. And once you can have all members back together, then I'm telling you the journey to party, maybe likely wrestling power from the APC can begin from that step.
Are we likely to see the return of the likes of Wike and his co-travelers now that the party chairman has stepped aside?
Wike has never left the People's Democratic Party.
Somehow, with spirit, some would say he hasn't left with his body, but his spirit.
He's still a true member of the People's Democratic Party. In fact, let me be bold to tell you this. I have never seen somebody who loved the PDP more than Wike. Because he labored for the party when everybody abandoned the party after President Goodluck Jonathan left. He worked hard for the party. He was the go-getter on all issues of the party. He was paying for even the staff salary of the party members. He was paying for court cases of members within the party. He was doing everything to salvage the soul of the party when all the leaders left the party. And I'm telling you this, this man has PDP within him. It lives in his blood. He believes in it. And he's going to do everything humanly possible to remain within the party. Today, the governor of Rivers State elect is a member of the People's Democratic Party. And the larger number of the members in the Senate, National Assembly, and the House of Representatives are PDP. And even the State Assembly, the PDP has gotten quite a large chunk. It is just unfortunate that the APC stole the victory for us in Rivers State.
Could it be also, some would say, perhaps it might be a deliberate attempt, to get Wike to come back and continue to finance the party now that the party has lost its presidential election, and in a way falsify him by ensuring that, by giving him the impression that, okay, the man you've been battling has now stepped aside. You should come forward and continue to run the party as it were. Is that the position?
Well, I've heard him share his positions and opinions several times. Number one, I heard him say he's not going to aspire for any national office any longer again. So he's done with that. And all that I know, because I have been a member of the Integrity Group, and we have had several open meetings with him. I have heard how his opinions are. He is just about PDP. The only thing we can
wants to remain
is PDP. And he has never left the People's Democratic Party right from 1999. And he is indeed going to still remain. He has PDP in his veins. He has it in his blood. That's as simple and as succinctly as I can be able to say.
So how is he going to work with the presidential candidates, talking about Atiku Abubakar, because they've been also at loggerheads, throwing tantrums and what have you at each other. Do you think, with the stepping aside of Ayu, things would come back to normal?
Yeah, it depends on who makes the first move. It depends on who makes the first move, because these are leaders And these are people, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Mr. Nyesom Wike. These are strong leaders. These are people who have vied for the coveted office of the Mr. President, the ticket of the People's Democratic Party. One came first, the other came second. So these are our national leaders and these are our heroes. So it depends on who can be able to bring them together. And who can do that? No one else but the National Working Committee, with no Iyorchia Ayu in that National Working Committee.
I said he's the stumbling block earlier.
He has been the stumbling block. So Ambassador Damagun, she'll step in and be bold because the whole world is looking at him and the members of the People's Democratic Party are looking at him. He can be able to right so many wrongs now, but he has to be bold, he has to be courageous, he has to be straight, and he has to do it with all sense of responsibility.
Could Atiku Abubakar be saying, why had I known I should have let go of this man? Do you think he will be regretting that?
Well, I have not gone into his mind to understand how he thinks. I don't know how he thought when, in the first instance, he did not give Nyesom Wike an opportunity to be his running mate. I don't know how his thoughts were. I don't know what he was thinking when he decided he must keep Ayu against the wishes of the G5 governors. So I have never gone into his mind to understand what he thinks. I don't know whether he is regretting it or he's not regretting it. But what I know is that the People's Democratic Party lost an election and it is a time for reflection. And I know during those reflections, him and every member of the People's Democratic Party minds will go back to all things that have happened within the party. And I'm sure everybody will have wished things have been done differently than it was done now.
But everyone also has a hand in it because, yes, virtually everyone has contributed to the fallout. I mean, to the loss, so to speak.
Yeah.
So everyone is a culprit.
Yeah, everybody is a culprit. That's why I told you in the beginning of this interview, I said, I have seen what I have never seen in the history, in my own political history, whereby virtually at every level of the election within the People's Democratic Party, everybody has done an anti-party one way or the other. And I'm telling you, you are a journalist. Dig further, you will see how it has manifested. It's a shame, it's a big shame, and it's so unfortunate that a party that has termed itself the largest party in sub-Saharan Africa found itself in this position today.
Struggling to come up, and then it got down again. Because, you know, from 2015, it has been at the background. And then you had the opportunity to come up, you know, to rise up, and then suddenly you're also knocked down by the APC again.
Yeah.
So perhaps this would take a longer time for the party to also resurrect.
Well, you can never say. I don't know how the APC is going to perform if sworn into office in the next 4 years. I don't know how much ready they are to perform. It's what's the yardstick that we will assess them after that time. Is it going to continue as business as usual? Are they going to be more innovative in the area of leadership? Because if all these ingredients are lacking, then I'm telling you,
you still have a chance.
We have a chance.
We still have a chance to come.
We have a chance.
Okay, thank you very much, Malam Mohammed Jamu, a PDP chieftain, for talking to us on daily politics tonight. We really appreciate your perspectives.
Thank you so much, Shafiu. Right. It was nice talking with you.
Right. On behalf of our guests and the technical crew, this is where we come to the end of Daily Politics tonight. Do join us tomorrow, where we'll be back with another interesting topic and personalities. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day.